I guess that's one thing that I would share with people that, I'll never take a day for granted that I get to keep playing because, man, I love it and I'm passionate about it. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've, grown in and learn to not take for granted.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Call The Huddle. My name is Xavier Gusset. The following conversation is an interview with Judd Erickson, a quarterback who spoke about his 6-year journey through college football, spending his first 3 at Colorado State University before transferring and spending his last 3 as a quarterback at the University of San Diego. He threw 19 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions this past year before declaring for the NFL draft. And he had a lot of things to talk about, from NIL to the transfer portal in the process, and growing up a lacrosse player as well as football. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and as always, any feedback's appreciated. So let's get into it. Thank you. I just have a couple quick questions for everyone watching to get to know you and get to know what you are as a person and everything off the field. So does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. First one, I got LeBron or Jordan for you.
Oh, I'm not a huge basketball guy, but I guess I'd probably say Jordan.
Jordan, you go? Okay. That's an interesting take for like all athletes, I feel like, because it's the biggest like debate in my opinion.
Right.
Okay. Next one, Xbox or PlayStation for you, Judd?
I'm not a huge video game guy. Didn't play a ton, but all my buddies grew up playing Xbox. So if I was ever to go over to somebody's house and play a little Madden or something like that, it'd usually be Xbox. So I'm gonna go with that.
Gotcha. I got a little bit of a switch up for the next two. First one, Taylor Swift or Rihanna? Who are you going with and why? For music,
I'm gonna go Taylor Swift. I'm going Taylor Swift. I liked her old country music a lot, and then now she's got some new stuff that's kind of like pop. So I'm gonna go Taylor Swift.
Okay, no, it's hard to go wrong there. Two legends,
Yeah.
two goats.
Yeah.
And then barbecue or buffalo for you? Just like general question.
Mm.
You like hot stuff or like barbecue-y stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think normally I'm gonna go barbecue, but if you're strictly talking about chicken wings, I'd probably go buffalo. But in general, I'd say I'm more of a barbecue guy.
Okay, how about like pizza or wings? What are you picking between there for like football season, watching games or anything?
I guess pizza probably. I think the pizza you can do it. I mean, I don't think you can ever get enough pizza, but chicken wings, I think they'd have to be a little more of an occasion type thing for me. I don't think I could do chicken wings every day, but
Yeah.
man, pizza, yeah, I could never go wrong with pizza.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I got a couple football ones here that I'm excited to talk to you about. Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? I know you've always played quarterback. Peyton Manning or Tom Brady for you, just watching guys growing up?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Colorado. A lot of people would be mad at me for not picking Peyton, but I think I'm going to go with Tom. I don't know. A lot of people argue that, but yeah, for me, Tom's the GOAT.
Okay, no, I mean that's hard to debate. Obviously hard to overturn that. What about like a newer day thing? What about Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, two of my favorite quarterbacks right now?
Yeah. My roommate would kill me because he's a diehard Bengals fan, but Josh Allen, I just love watching Josh Allen play, and yeah, the stuff that he does out there is crazy, and obviously Joe Burrow too, but Josh Allen, man, he's one of my favorite guys to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I know watching a lot of your game, you kind of remind me of Burrow, like when you're in the pocket, a lot of your mechanics and everything. The one last one, did you have like a favorite NFL team growing up at all, Judd? I know, like you said, you're from Colorado.
Yeah, I'm a Saints fan. So I've been a Saints fan for a little bit here. Drew Brees actually over all those guys. I wouldn't argue with you. I wouldn't argue with you
That's fair.
over him, over Tom or anything like that, but he's been my favorite. He'll probably always be my favorite, and I'm a Saints guy.
Okay, cool. No, probably top 5 statistics all time at least, and definitely one of the best to ever do it in terms of on the field. So I just want to talk a little bit about your career. Obviously, like I said, I know like you played 3 years at Colorado State and then 3 at San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just tell me a little bit about growing up. When did you really start to get into football and start playing quarterback, and how old were you? And just tell me about growing up as a quarterback or player at all.
Sure. Well, I started off playing flag like most guys do. I played a couple of years of that, and then I think third grade um, was my first year at tackle football. But in flag, guys are kind of playing everything. I'm playing some quarterback. I'm playing a little bit of everything, just kind of like everybody does. But once it turns to tackle football, um, no, I never played anything but quarterback. I was quarterback since third grade. I never did anything else, and so grew up playing quarterback, and I loved it. It was awesome for me. I struggled a little bit at first, to be honest with you, with like the contact. I didn't love it, and I wasn't all for it, and that might be why I was kind of set in the position of quarterback, just because, I mean, you can take the quarterback position. There's some physicality to it, but obviously you're not out there running around hitting people like you are at other positions. So struggle with that a little bit, but no, I kind of grew into the role a little bit and grew out of that kind of shyness for the physicality of the game. But then got into high school, was playing football and lacrosse. Actually, I played a little bit of basketball too, but probably until sophomore year, I thought I was going to try to go play college lacrosse, actually. So I didn't know that football was going to be, this major passion of mine. I loved it, don't get me wrong, but I thought lacrosse was kind of my passion, and I thought that that's what I wanted to do until after, I guess, probably my junior season is really when it started to, like, okay, like, this is fun. That was my first year starting on varsity, was junior year, and I was like, man, I really really want to get into this. And so then finally that next summer, playing travel lacrosse or trying to go to camps and things like that for football is when I finally decided that no, football is what I'm going to pursue, and football is what I love. And um, obviously, playing 6 years in college, it's still something that I'm trying to pursue today. So
No, wow, that's really cool. I know, like you said, you played lacrosse and a lot of other stuff. That's really cool. Just talk about, like I said, growing up in high school. It's cool that you got to play quarterback throughout your whole life. Obviously, I know you caught a touchdown pass this past year, right?
yeah, I
So
did.
I would have thought you played a little bit receiver, did something beforehand, but just playing quarterback, obviously, the natural hands is cool. Um,
Yeah.
just tell me, like I said, high school. Obviously, we talked about Drew Brees and other guys. Who were some guys that you admired and looked up to, like to model your game after in the NFL or college football, even just growing up watching a lot of football?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it was a little different. I wasn't too much about, trying to model my game after anybody, but definitely like watching football and following those guys.
Yeah,
I mean, guys that we've already talked about, Drew Brees, all the time. I was diehard Drew Brees. Um, Watched a lot of Tom Brady, a lot of Peyton Manning, guys like that. Earlier, kind of right when I really start remembering football a little bit is, and honestly, I don't even know if I remember it or if it was more about, my dad talking about it, but John Elway was in Denver right before I really got into football. So there were some of those guys old time, but I don't remember a ton of it. But yeah, really when I was growing up, the bulk of it was, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, and of course Drew Brees.
yeah. No, it's obviously got to be cool growing up like a quarterback in Colorado. There's a lot of history there now. Obviously, with Peyton Manning, I'm sure it was different when you were a kid.
Mhm.
We talked about like the other sports you played. I know, like I said, you're an athletic guy. You did lacrosse and basketball. You talked about. Did those like other sports, like lacrosse specifically? You said you did it really well. Did that help with like a football mindset or like training in any aspects, or even like athleticism to a degree?
Yeah, no, for sure. I know that some people would say, and especially the way that I play quarterback, you can kind of get away with your flaws in your athleticism. I'm not running around out there making a bunch of guys miss and going to running for a 40-yard touchdown, anything like that. So lacrosse definitely helped me kind of, develop those traits and try to grow in other areas that you're not growing in when you're standing back there throwing the ball around. And so I'm doing a lot of that, as well as, staying in shape and and just, yeah, being able to be that multi-sport athlete. Just kind of pushes you to kind of get out of your comfort zone and be, be successful in um being athletic in different ways, in different situations, things like that. I think it definitely helped being a multi-sport
Yeah.
guy.
Did you ever notice like stepping up in the pocket or like moving around in the pocket, especially you ever were reminded of it or anything like playing lacrosse? I know you do like a lot of shuffling and such like that.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some, uh, you know, kind of movements and different things that go on in different sports that you kind of see translate in a cool way. We had our lacrosse coach was actually really good at that, kind of picking up on tendencies from other sports and um, kind of carrying that over to our game. And so definitely something that you'd kind of notice, oh, this kind of translate and this is, I remember that. And so, yeah, definitely what you're talking about, kind of seeing things cross over through sports.
No, that's really cool. I know you went to Colorado State, as we talked about, and transferred in 2020, correct? Or
Yes, I
2019,
finished.
maybe the end of 2019, maybe like 2020.
Yeah, it was an interesting little deal there because of
Cool.
COVID. So I played at Colorado State those 3 seasons, 2017, 18, and 19. Then 2020 was coming around. I was going to transfer here to San Diego um, the summer before that fall 2020 season. That ended up getting canceled because of COVID. So I ended up deferring the semester, staying at CSU to graduate. Then we had a spring season. So I ended up coming here to San Diego, transferring to the team like January of 21. But it was that like 2020 school year that I came over here. But it was weird because of COVID. It was kind of a different deal there.
Yeah, what's it like playing from Colorado to in San Diego? Is that like a big change up at all, especially quarterback where you're grabbing the ball a lot?
Yeah, practices are a lot warmer, I'll tell you that. It's no, it's a good deal. We don't need a ton of cold gear out here, things like that. So that's a lot more fun. Don't have to worry about your hands freezing up on you.
Yeah. Talk about just like the mental transition, between going to campuses, other than like the cold or and the weather. Just tell me like how you grew through between when you transferred. Obviously, like you said, it was between a big COVID stage, which one was tough for everyone, obviously. But just tell me, like, just how did you grow between the first year of being there, maybe that you recognized more as you were doing it?
Sure. I think I don't know. I feel like I've always developed a little bit late. In high school, I still was growing up until really my senior year is kind of when I realized that I could, have the opportunity to continue to play football. And so I really was always kind of a late bloomer. I didn't start on varsity till junior year, like I said. And that year, like I was all right, but I wasn't, anything special. And senior year, I kind of started things to see things come together. And so then going to Colorado State, looking back on it now, like I don't think I um completely had all the right um how do I say this? I don't think that I was completely prepared to do what it took to be a Division I college quarterback when I got there. I was very young and um obviously everybody talks about, coming from high school, everybody was a guy at their high school. Now you come and that was everybody. And so now not everybody's going to be a guy here. And so I kind of I think I was a little bit behind there and I had a weird recruiting process out of high school. And so um I didn't really know what I was getting into, and so I don't think I was, fully prepared to do everything it took, like I said. And so I worked hard, and when we were in the weight room, I was working hard, and when we were on the field, I was working hard, and in the classroom, like I was studying and stuff like that. But I don't think I did really all the extra things, and so I think I had a little bit of a kind of a mental switch when I came here that kind of turned into like, no, it's going to take more than what you're doing to kind of, make this dream of yours, have even a possibility of coming true. And so when I got here, I started to kind of do a little bit extra and do a little bit extra, and kind of it started to stack up. Definitely surrounded myself with the right guys on the team who were, had the same mindset as me, and really wanted the same things that I wanted. And so definitely started to see myself grow and develop, and kind of saw everything that I had learned and all the experiences I'd had, you know, playing football for a long time, kind of all come together. And yeah, it was really cool to kind of see it all come together, and feel the way that I felt on the football field, just like having fun and playing free, and being like that. So yeah, I guess that was a long answer for your short question, but that was kind of how I felt I developed throughout, really all 6 of my
Yeah.
years playing college football.
Wow. And I kind of want to talk more about like your time at San Diego, like especially your second year. I know the production was different statistically, which I'm sure you were happy of and proud of a lot. Um, just talk about, was there like a moment in 2020 or 21 maybe, or 22 even this past year, where you kind of knew that you had it more and were feeling different playing the position specifically, whether it's in practice or games or even in like a film room or something, talking to coaches?
Yeah, so um the transition from last year to this year, uh
Yeah.
sitting down in meetings during spring ball is really when, we sat down and started to dive into it. And I was really seeing it, watching tape and going over installs, things like that. I think I was really able to see it and talk about it and do all these things in a way that I hadn't before. And my quarterback coach had told me, he's like, man, I really knew that you were starting to come together when, you were seeing the things that I was seeing, you were communicating the things that I was communicating without me having to tell you first. And so it was really coming together for me, my knowledge of the offense, and my ability to kind of, I think bring everybody together. So it kind of started in spring ball, this past spring, but then getting into this past season, we played okay for the first couple weeks. I felt like personally I declined a little bit. And then coming back up, I think it was our week. I want to say it was week 6. I'm not sure if that's right. Our Presbyterian game this year is really when I felt like it all came together. I was trusting what I was seeing. I was playing fast. I wasn't thinking too much. And, I was just that feeling that I told you about, playing free and feel like you're playing like you're a little kid again, running out there playing the game that you love. Like that game against Presbyterian is when I was like, okay, like I'm here, I can do this. Like my confidence, started to build, and I started having a lot more fun with the game. And yeah, just started throwing around the yard like we were at recess or something. And um it was fun.
Wow. Yeah, no, I got the stats pulled up. 26 for 40 that game, 65 completion, almost 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Definitely, like you said, probably the bigger game of your season, firsthand. And then what I want to talk about afterwards is like 2022, like I said, obviously a lot of big statistical performances the end of that season. What was your mindset like throughout just like the end of it, and leading into the NFL, like when you started getting ready for the off season and everything? What were your thoughts just with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, for a while there, obviously we were focused on how do we, make it to the playoffs? How do we do that? And so throughout the season, really that was what we were doing. That was what, I was thinking about. That's what that all came down to. And so um obviously we ended up not accomplishing the goals that we set out for ourselves. And we wanted to win a conference championship, and we wanted to go, get in the playoffs and get a shot at somebody and see what we can do. And we didn't take care of that. But that was really the mindset throughout the season. And so I didn't really think about it until the year was over. Each week had plenty to go in that week in the install and things like that, and the game plan to, the focus wasn't really ever on anything past, this week and what we're installing today, and watching the tape that's getting pushed today and things like that. So didn't really think about it until after the year. And then, took some time to reflect and think about, well, what do I want to do? And what do I want to keep playing football? And I never really questioned whether I did or not. I always knew I wanted to keep playing football. But then after talking to some people close to me and some people that I trust, hearing some people think that, there is a possibility that I'd be able to keep playing football. And so, hearing that from them, that there's people out there that think that I will have a possibility to do it at, not sure what the league will be or what the opportunity will be, but just there are people that, know more than I do, that think that I can play football at the next level. And that's all I needed to hear for me to say, yeah, like, let's do this.
Yeah, no, it's a big like communication thing. Obviously, that's really crazy to hear. That's cool. Just talk a little bit about like your game. I know a little bit after this past season. Just talk about some of your strengths to your game that you think, in your opinion. What are some of the bigger things that carry your game, and some things that maybe you're working on or try to work on consistently?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can tell you straight up, I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not, getting outside of the pocket and beating somebody around the edge and going and running for 40 yards and a touchdown or anything like that. But I think what I do it well, and I think that I'm a good distributor of the football. I get the ball to our guys in space and let them go make plays. And I think I did a really good job of this year of taking care of the football and um, you know kind of knowing what we wanted to do with each play, knowing the idea of what we were trying to accomplish each time that a play was called, and being able to get everybody on the same page, line everybody up, and get everybody, going in the right direction, going in the same direction. Um, and then, I mean, people, there's things that you could talk about, whether it's completion percentage or yards or a lack of interceptions, things like that, that some people might highlight. But I think there's a lot of things that you can't really, write down in a stat book that make me the football player that I am. I think that my leadership skills and my command of the offense and the relationship that I have with the guys around me, I think that separates me probably the most. I think that, we go out there and we're trusting each other and we're caring about each other and we're working hard for each other. And being able to lead the group of guys that I was able to lead this year, I loved it. I had fun with every moment. And I think those kind of things that, like I said, you can't put in a stat book. I think that is really what will separate me from other people.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about the quarterback position. Obviously, it's so oriented in leadership and knowing how to just control people and emotions and being able to get through to everyone. I'd say like past being on the field. I know I think your major is leadership studies, correct?
Yeah.
What does that like entail? Does that help with any like ideas or anything when it comes to going up guys or communicating with players or athletes or anything? Just obviously.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because so my undergrad was in business, and so coming here,
Yeah.
really, I wanted, when I was going into my master's program, I wanted to do the MBA program, but there's a requirement about, post undergraduate work experience that you have to have, that I didn't have coming right from my undergrad to my master's program. So leadership studies was kind of honestly the second thing on my list. But I'm really glad now that I did it. I think it was actually pretty cool to see, um, taking some of the things that we'd be learning in the classroom that they don't even know what I'm doing, going to play football, going to do this in the time that I'm not in the classroom, but how well it was like applying. And I was like learning things in the classroom as I was seeing them on the football field, and like being able to, like, oh, this is a good time to work on, this concept that we just learned in class last week, and now I see it in the real world on the football field, and now I can apply what I'm learning. It was actually really cool how it all kind of came together, and to think I didn't really even, it wasn't my first choice of what I wanted to get my master's degree in. And so seeing that kind of come together and watch those kind of concepts from the classroom come together on the football field and like live out those real world experiences. And it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, no, right. Obviously, like I said, that's like cool for a master's thing and to get that knowledge and the ability to communicate. And already you're a quarterback and have done it for so long. It must have been like extra helpful, especially now going into playing professional football. Um, One last question before I want to get in a couple fun ones. Just coming from a small school, obviously, is there anything new that you've like figured out this off season yet? Since you signed with an agency or anything that you've had to prepare for or just get used to in terms of going to the pros or working out at all, anything new?
Anything new, like how do you mean? Like in within
Like
our
events.
workouts or
So like when did you sign with OTG? Was it this off season?
yeah, it was just I can't remember the date, but it was over the break. It was before the New Year's, sometime in December.
Okay, is there anything like events wise or like planning wise, or obviously like I said, going into the pros, there's a lot of different communication, like even like fun questions and stuff guys will ask you. Is there anything that you've had to like sit down and think about or talk about with your agents or anyone yet about that you haven't experienced really?
Yeah, I guess early in the process, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was thinking, okay, like I'll get with my strength staff when the season's over and we'll get ready for pro day and just do it and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't realize there was all this setting me up with opportunities like this to speak with you and now going to go play in um like a showcase game. I played in one earlier and now I've got another one this month. So doing all these things like that and all these extra things that you do to kind of get your name out there and no, the team at OTG is awesome and they're helping me with a bunch of extra things to, like you're saying, coming from a small school, like you got to get your name out there somehow and they're doing a great job of helping me with that. And so setting me up with a lot of opportunities that I didn't even like think about, I didn't even know were part of this process. And so getting hooked up with them was awesome for me. It was definitely something that's going to be very helpful in this process.
Yeah, no, they're a great agency. Obviously, Christian and Sarah do a great job. Um, just talking a little bit now, getting into some fun questions. I just want to ask. So, obviously, you played college football a long time. Um, just tell me, like, is there a specific game? I know you said the Presbyterian one was one of your favorites. Is there like a specific game, or even like thinking back to high school or something that you'd show someone to show them a little bit about your game?
Um, I guess a game uh, that was most fun for me would probably be this Davidson game this last year. They're a rival of ours, and
Yeah,
they'd gotten us the last couple of years. So coming back and being able to play with them, and really have a solid game all around and be able to beat them was awesome. That was something that I'll remember that one forever. And that was fun. I think for me personally, I played pretty well, and the guys around me played awesome. It was a great team effort, and we were able to do what we wanted with Davidson, and it's always fun to beat those guys. And so that's one I'll remember for a long time. In terms of games that, maybe if a scout or someone were to ask and say, hey, like, pull up your best game, show it to me. That's one that I would consider. The Davidson game was a good one for me. St. Thomas, unfortunately, we didn't pull it out, but we were in a good shootout there, and we were throwing the ball around a little bit. So that would be one that I'd want to show somebody also. Um, I guess those are two that come to mind, but Davidson was definitely one of the most fun games I've been a part of in my long career.
that's cool. Just going off of that, like I said, 6 years of college football is a long time. Uh, I don't know anyone from like Colorado area, um, but tell me, like, is there anyone that you've like, who's the best player that you've gotten to play against, whether it's like straight player or like most raw, like athlete, just like the most talented guy you've ever gotten to see? And is there anyone that just when you get to see him on the field or play football, they just make you go, wow?
Well, yeah, actually, my freshman year, we headed up to Laramie, Wyoming to play against the Cowboys, and quarterback of that team was actually Josh Allen. So that was that was pretty cool. Going up to watch that one. It was a blizzard up there and it was freaking cold. I was freezing my butt off. Um,
Interesting.
but but that was a good one. That was fun. I mean, I guess it wasn't fun at the end. They ended up beating us, but that was a good one. That's a guy that, watching him play was really cool. But we had some pretty talented dudes at CSU. Guys like Mike Gallup. He was on the team my freshman year, so watching him get to play, he's done some cool things. But yeah, there's a handful of guys that I've got to see and got to play both with and against throughout my career, and I guess those would be a couple. But yeah, I guess I can say that I was on the roster at CSU. I didn't get in the game at all, but played against Josh Allen. So
Yeah,
that would probably be a good answer.
got to see him before all the superstardom too, even though he was like a 7th overall pick or something afterwards. But I remember watching
Yeah.
him in Wyoming. He was nuts, and I don't know what that game was, but I can only imagine the fourth quarter was kind of electric with him just slinging passes 60 yards across his body and stuff like he used to. I know you 13 at both schools, or no, you have 13 at Colorado State and then number 8 at San Diego University, right?
Yes.
Do you have like a favorite between those two, or a third number, or anything else besides those two that you like to wear?
Yeah. So high school, even before high school, growing up, all through elementary school, high school, everything like that, I was 5. 5 was my number. And so that was kind of it for a while going into Colorado State. I was kind of like, I had asked, I said, is 5 available? And we had a running back who was wearing number 5 at the time. And so they said, do you have any other? And I didn't really have a number other than 5. So I said, no, kind of let me get whatever. So my first year, I actually wore 12 as a freshman. And then we had another quarterback come in who wanted 12, and I didn't really have any attachment to it. So I moved to 13. So I was 13 for 2 years there. And then coming here, I asked for 5. And we had a receiver here who was wearing 5. And so I got to pick after that, and 8 was available. And I like it. I like the single digits, things like that. So I picked 8, wore that for 2 years. And then it came time actually this year, 5 was open. I don't know if I would have got it, because the way we did it, we kind of all put in a request and then they kind of just blast out who gets what.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if I would have got it over. We had another senior safety this year who ended up getting 5. So I don't know who they would have picked between us if I would have requested. But no, I decided that coming here, this was kind of new life for me here at San Diego, and 8 had been good to me. And there's kind of an unwritten rule here that if you score a touchdown in a number, you got to stick to that number. So once you score, and so I had scored in 8, and so I had heard that rule. I liked the number 8, and so I stuck to 8 this year. Didn't request 5, and so now, honestly, I think I might be leaning more towards 8 than 5. But if I got 5 instead, I wouldn't be disappointed at all.
Yeah, 2 cool numbers. That's cool. I like the single digits trend. It's not 9 like Breeze, but it's close enough.
Right,
cool.
right.
I know we talked about how you transferred. I just want to get your thoughts on like the transfer portal today going on. Obviously, it's a really big thing, and it's really, really big. Obviously, just talk about like your experience with the transfer portal when you transferred, obviously for the right reasons, and just like pros and cons for a player, like from your experiences. Clearly.
Sure. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different things that can go into your experience with the transfer portal. I had a unique experience, but ended up like it was the best decision that I made to come here to San Diego. I not only with my opportunities in football and being able to pursue a career in football after this, but the relationships I've made, the people that I've met, the experiences I've been able to have here, it was the best. Yeah, like I said, it was the best decision I made. So my experience was good in that way. During my time in the transfer portal, it was still kind of a newer idea, I believe, but
yeah.
And then COVID happened. So it was really weird. Again, I didn't play at all at CSU. I got in for like 2 plays in one game, handed the ball off. And so I didn't have any game tape. So it was a weird experience for me that, I wasn't able to show everybody a bunch of game film and be this high rated prospect or anything like that. So I knew that I was going to have to, probably move down to a smaller school than Colorado State going into the transfer portal. So I kind of had that expectation, but I wasn't really sure where, like, was it going to be a smaller FBS school? Was I going to go down to FCS? Was I going to need to go play D2? Like, I didn't know. And so being able to, get the opportunity to continue to play Division I football was awesome. There are some negatives that can come with the transfer portal. Obviously, now there's so many people that enter it. You can kind of just get lost in the mix there, and it's kind of hard sometimes. Some people have a tougher time, finding a home after entering the transfer portal. And so I guess I don't think anybody has the same experience transferring. But mine personally, while it was weird at the time, looking back on it now, like it's the best decision that I have made.
Yeah. No, obviously I'm for it too. It's more power to the players. And I think you brought up a good point. Like that when you don't get a lot of playing time beforehand, obviously it's harder to get scouted. Talk about like what was that like for you meeting with other schools? Like what were they looking at? Were they looking back to like your high school film, or like was it just workouts and interviews mostly, or how did that recruiting really go down?
And so I was able to put together some practice tape. So I had some clips from practice at Colorado State, and I believe that was majority of what schools were looking at. I had sent out my high school tape as well, but 3 years later, you could be a whole different player than you were in high school. So I think most coaches were focused on my college practice tape that I was able to put together. But yeah, like you're saying, like not a ton of game film. And so um I believe it was like that. But also, yeah, then after them watching that practice tape and having an initial interest, then it turned into what you're talking about with, interviews and face to face and going to meet people and do all that thing and kind of be able to try to make a good impression in person after watching that college tape, because there is some trust that they have to put in you recruiting you without any game film, because it's different. When the bullets are live out there and people are actually hitting you. I know in practice quarterbacks get to wear, the red penny or whatever, and you don't get to touch them. And so once people are screaming off the end trying to take your head off and you're getting hit, it's a whole different game. So there's definitely some trust that coaches have to have in a guy that they're recruiting when they don't have game film. And so that's when, like you're talking about, getting into kind of meeting face to face and putting on a good impression in person after that. So yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, obviously, like we talked about a little bit before, Colorado to San Diego is a big jump too. Going through that, was that like location or like fit based at all, or what was your preferences going into the transfer?
Yeah, when I entered the transfer portal, I knew that, well, in my head, I was telling myself, like, you can't be too picky here because of what we just talked about. You're not going to have game film. Who knows who's going to be interested? I didn't even know where I was going to, fit in. And so I told myself, I can't have these crazy expectations to get all these schools that, all these FBS schools or things like that, things that every piece of the puzzle is going to fit, where, it's going to be the perfect location and the perfect this, perfect that, everything. I didn't think it was going to all fit together like that. So I didn't have really a preference of, or I guess I shouldn't say I didn't have a preference, but I didn't have an expectation of I'm going to be able to pick this off of, location or things like that. It was going to be, where was going to be the best fit for me to go play quarterback. And that was pretty much it. Everything else after that was, was secondary. So, being recruited by San Diego, man, that, because now you're checking all the boxes, the location and the weather. That's one thing. The school is incredible. And then putting it together with the football aspect, with the guys and the coaches and the scheme and all that, it was a perfect fit. And so I didn't expect it to go as well as it did. And so starting to hear from San Diego, and when I really knew that they were interested and was starting to expect them to, offer me to come play here, I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Obviously, like I said, you transferred for all the right reasons. And you said it was all just like where you wanted to play quarterback, where the best school for you, all around. And I think obviously NIL and like the money throws a wrench into that for a lot of kids, and that's why it's like so big today. Um, Thank you for like all the insight. Like you've had like really long answers for a lot of these questions, which is great insight, obviously, and a lot of great just like mindset, like I said stuff on it. Just a couple more.
Yeah, no problem.
So like I talked about, NIL is obviously a big thing where guys make money, and it can be used, like I said, everywhere. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. A lot of like local guys get help from it. A lot of local businesses, and it's been a big thing. I'd say like a huge change. Obviously, just what are your experiences with NIL, and have you used it like at all, or to help other people, or what are your business experiences been with that?
Yeah. So that didn't really get started until I got here to San Diego. So it was never really an experience I had when I was at Colorado State, but
Mhm.
coming here, um, I don't have a ton of experience. Obviously, at a smaller school, um, for one, and two, being in San Diego, there's a lot of people that are interested in a lot of other things. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of people that, the University of San Diego football isn't always everybody in San Diego's, top priority. So at
Yeah.
those bigger schools that you hear, they've got a lot of influence and a lot of, um, you know, a lot of even presence on social media, things like that, that come with playing football at a bigger school like that. And so being at a smaller school like this, there's not a ton of that. And so with that, there's not a ton of opportunities. Trust me when I say that I sent out many emails, just to local businesses and things like that of, hey, man, I'm coming to play quarterback here at the University of San Diego. I'd love to, talk with somebody on your team about all this new NIL stuff, and I sent out my fair share of emails. Didn't really get a ton of stuff, little things here and there, but um, nothing super impactful, and nothing too crazy. So that wasn't really a huge part of my experience here. Just being at a smaller school.
Gotcha. No, yeah, obviously, I know like you talked about signing with OTG has been a big thing for you. Really cool stuff. Was it like obviously you didn't think about like having a manager or representation until your career was over collegiate?
Yeah, no, I hadn't talked to anybody or heard anything really, and didn't know how that process worked at all. Talking to some coaches and former players at San Diego, and just trying to get my head around like, okay, what's next? Then I started hearing from all of them like, well, a huge step in this is getting an agent. And so do I need an agent? Like, how do I go about that? I hadn't heard from anyone. Do I just like, I don't even know how to go about finding an agent. And so luckily, able to get in and play in one of these showcase games. And um, I mean, they say over there that I guess there was some good word of mouth about me and the way that I played that weekend, and so that sparked some interest, and started to get into some communication with those guys at OTG, and yeah, obviously love what they do, and the people that they are, and so that's been a great experience. But until that, I didn't know that you had to have one. I didn't know that, it was such a big role in this process, was that piece of, the marketing and the agency and all that. So yeah, prior to, really the past 2 months, I didn't even know that that was part of this whole deal. So I'm pretty new to it, but yeah, they've helped me out a ton.
Wow. No, that's really cool. It's obviously like you said, it's really crazy that you were sending out those emails and stuff when the NIL first dropped in 2021, I think. Yeah.
So yeah.
Really crazy you were sending out all those emails. Whereas it, and I watched a little bit of the showcase game that you had. was any of like the reaching out to agents and like OTG specifically, was that on the field or was that like virtually, or did you have to send out tape and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was more virtually. It was more, there was some agents there that were, going in and having conversations with guys, and they did a cool little deal. One of the nights they had a panel of some agents and former agents, and so some of them were handing out cards and things like that to be able to contact them. But through my experience, most of it was virtual, and most of it came afterwards, really. When word of mouth started spreading, and I guess people were talking about who came and who played well and who did this and that, and that's really when I started to get into contact with people, because more in person I didn't really have much with anybody, so mine was more of a virtual experience after the showcase was over.
Wow, no, that's cool stuff to hear. I'm sure a lot of people also, like, it's not a type of thing that gets like talked about a lot in the media, so I think that's a really cool aspect. Sorry to take up a lot of your time. I got like two more questions here.
No worries at all. I got nothing going on. I'm here as long as you need me.
That was great to hear. I love that because, like I said, you're good. You're giving great answers and a lot of cool stuff on like the collegiate ball and everything. And it's been a cool interview altogether. So, just like I said, when it comes to events and such, obviously, like since you've signed with OTG, that's probably been a little bit bigger in like this off season. Is there anything like routine wise that you've been doing in your day? That you've been preparing for every day, or is there like upcoming events, like you said, for the collegiate showcase game, the second one coming up? Is there anything else like that you have marked on your calendar?
No, for me right now, it's really getting into routine. I did mention I'm going to play in another one of those Senior Bowl games later this month, but other than that, no. For the next few months, I'm staying in San Diego, and we've got a great, I've a lot of support around me here, and the football staff as well as the strength staff is really doing everything they can for me and the other guys that are working on getting ready for our pro day. And so with that, we've got a good group of guys that are staying here and working with our strength staff. He's got us on a plan, and so we're running and seeing him every morning, and so we get in there and go get our field work done, go get up in the weight room. Sometimes we'll go throw the ball around and run routes and stuff like that, and get in the training room if you got anything bugging you, or just to stay healthy, things like that. And so trying to get into a little bit of a routine here, and so I'll be in San Diego training here, and just trying to stack days and really get ready for that pro day, and be ready to show out there.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Obviously, the pro day is a big day for you and a lot of other people. Just talk about the last one I got here. Like I know you talked about a lot, like going into college and being ready for college, and then transferring and having to transfer and look at where you're at now, obviously. Just talk about like mentally. I know obviously since your first year of college football, you've gotten older and switched schools, and I'm sure you've had a lot of other perspective changes and stuff, but just mentally, is there something that you look at differently that's like different fundamentally now about how you think, or how that you wish you would have known when you were entering college football?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot that goes into that for me.
Okay.
I think I could talk about that for a long time. I think that there's so many different things that um, I wish I would have known, and the mentality that I wish I would have had. Now, I do want to add that I wouldn't change my experience for anything, because, you know, I think that I've been on this path, and it's been meant for me to go through it how I've gone through it, and um, I've loved every part of it. But yeah, there's a lot that I've learned that if I would have known earlier, I think would have benefited me for sure. I think, like I said, I didn't know all that it would take to be a starting quarterback. I think that I thought I was, really working hard and doing everything I could and going to the weight room, but it really takes a lot more than just And everybody talks about it, but I just didn't know it when I was younger, that, you can't just, okay, your lift is from whatever, 6 to 7, and then you're going to be uh, out on the field running whatever this for this hour of the day, and then practices these 2.5 hours plus whatever the hour of meetings before it, and work hard during that time, and like you're good. And that's just not how it goes at all. There's so much extra that goes into it, all the extra tape that you need to watch, and diving into the playbook and things like that, and all that, plus the extra stuff that you can do on the side, whether it's going in on your off day and getting in an extra lift, or getting in the training room, and anything, whether you got something bugging you, you can get after that, or just making sure you're staying healthy so you recover faster, and be able to go even harder the next day in the next lift. So there's so many things that um you know I had to learn throughout my time in college. And but then on top of all of that, I think the biggest thing that I've gained and grown in throughout my time is just appreciating every day that I get to play football. Man, I have learned so much more about how to love this game, and how to respect this game, and how to appreciate it, and be able to play it. And um man, yeah, I love it, and I'll do anything to be able to keep playing it. And my appreciation and my passion for this game, as I've learned more about it, has grown so much. And um I guess that's one thing that I would share with people, that I'll never take a day for granted that I get to keep playing, because man, I love it and I'm passionate about it. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've grown in, and learn to not take for granted. So yeah, a lot of steps that I've taken um since I was a freshman in college. But no, I've loved every step of the way. And I'm loving who I the things that I've been able to learn, and who I've been able to become and grow into. And yeah, man, I'm just excited to see what's next.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited too, for what's next for you in your career. I know you like talked a lot about the on the field stuff and the getting in the stuff. It's obviously like today, with today's world of social media and everything, all of that stuff is even harder, I'd say, for a lot of athletes. And like I said, with NIL, it's a lot just the branding. Like you talked about, you didn't know that a lot until just the last couple of years, really. But yeah, it's definitely a big thing going into college football. And I think a lot more high school athletes should start to look at agents and hiring guys, because it's a money world now, like we said a little bit, which is cool. I like the career that you've had to talk about so far. And
Yeah.
you didn't really get to be a part of that, which is also a little bit cool in my eyes.
Right.
Just one last thing. If you're given like advice to a younger quarterback, like think back to maybe when you were in high school, just what do you feel like, or other athletes in general, just going through multiple sports, what is one thing that has stuck with you, or you feel like you would share?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are talking about now, like, put your head down and work, and get in the weight room. And um I mean, I'm not saying that those are wrong at all. I 100% agree with that. I think man, if this is something that you want to do, and do for a long time, and play in college, and hopefully play after that, you got to do all that, and you got to get in the weight room, and you got to do all that, because nowadays, it's become such a, I think younger generations are starting to see that more, and really like dive in. And I don't know. I think people are starting to work harder at younger ages, where, back when I was in middle school, like we weren't in the weight room hardly at all. Like that didn't really start till I was a freshman, sophomore in high school.
Right.
And so you got to put in the extra work. You got to get in the weight room. Um, I've seen it a few times on the internet. I can't remember. It might be a quote from somebody, but it's, man, like turn the phone off, and put your head down and work. And you don't need to go record all these workouts and post them on your social media. Like put the phone away, and go grind in the dark. And then when the lights turn on and it's time to play, like that'll all come together, and you'll be able to see all that. And so really being able to do all that, but then I guess you've kind of heard me talk about it a little bit, but man, really just like appreciate it and don't take it for granted, and love every second that you get to play it, because you never know when you won't be able to anymore. And yeah, man, I would just recommend to people just like really have an appreciation for it, and love every second that you get to play it, because I don't know, you never know when it's your last time. And yeah, I sure hope that I get to keep playing football. And so for anybody that does get to keep doing it, man, love it, appreciate it, respect it.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate all your thoughts on everything, and it was a great interview, almost an hour. So I really appreciate it once again. Thank you with everything. Like I said, maybe we could get this going again this offseason if you want, if you got time before the draft. But good luck with everything for sure, man. Getting your name out there and just riding it all until the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you spending time and wanting to talk to me. And yeah, like I said, all I've got going is I'm trying to get in this routine to get my name out there. So love to talk again. And